Hey, football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we gather around and talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have some very new and interesting topics we got to go straight into. So let's get to the video. Beforehand, real quick though, if you're not already, please consider hitting subscribe. If you do that, you'll get updated with all the videos we put on here Monday through Friday. All good stuff concerning the offseason in terms of the Lions. So if you want to stick around and stay informed, please consider going down and hitting subscribe. With that being said, though, let's get right into this video. Yeah, new OC, guys. Starting off, not the guy I thought we'd get, or not even the second guy I thought we'd get, but the Lions are hiring former Arizona Cardinals OC Drew Petzing to their as their new offensive coordinator. After stints with the Minnesota Vikings 2014 to 2019 and the Browns from 2020 to 2022, where he coached tight ends and quarterbacks under Kevin Stefanski, Petzing spent the past 3 seasons learning the Cardinals offense under Jonathan Gannon, who was fired following the end of the 2025 season. Now, there's a couple things to look at here, and there's some good, there's some bad, but I think it's mostly a mixed bag for this guy because his offense in the desert wasn't necessarily consistently good, right? He did lead a top 8 offense in 2024 with a 0.3 EPA per play. However, with that rash of injuries that they got this season, including a quarterback and running back, both starters being out, and inconsistent offensive line sank them into 24th in EPA per play in 2025 with negative 0.6. And with zero running game, the Cardinals really did become this pass-happy offense under Jacoby Brissett, who honestly wasn't horrible under center. That's what worries me the most, though. I like that he's a QB guy. I like that he's good with quarterbacks. That's awesome. I think it'll help Goff out. I think they'll have a great connection. But the part of what didn't work with Morton was the lack of the emphasis on the run game and really understanding what made our team so good in the first place. And with nothing to really work on tape-wise from Arizona, just because they didn't have a run game, I'm worried it's going to be the same problem over again. That is going to be my issue. I think that's going to be a situation where he comes in, he wants to be pass heavy, and it's, we got St. Brown, we got JMO, but I mean, it's going to start being predictable. I feel like it's going to be the Morton problem where it's predictable for a little bit, and then you try to lean on the run game late in the game, and then it doesn't work, and then we're just wasting time, and then we lose games. I don't want that to happen again. I want this guy to be able to understand what really makes the cogs turn on this offense and get our players going early. And the Lions are really hoping that a 38-year-old play caller in this guy with questions along the offensive line, which dealt with injuries and inconsistencies this season, is he going to be able to just seamlessly take over this unit when it's dealing with problems right now? After Ben Johnson, who coached with Petzing at Boston College before both of them made the leap to the pros, left for Chicago, the Lions brought in Morton as their offensive coordinator, and we know with Morton, who had only called plays for a little bit of the year, didn't last the campaign, and Dan Campbell took over play calling. So there's the chance that Dan Campbell's going to have to take over play calling from this guy too if it doesn't work out. And I don't know. Am I happy with this pick? No, not really. I thought we were going to go and grab Mike McDaniels, but I'm assuming that the other candidates we really liked, like Mike McDaniels, probably already got head coaching jobs stringed up, because I don't see why we'd go with this guy over him. Still, it's a really uncertain pick for me. He must have stood out in that interview because he's got a lot of responsibility now commanding that offense. I'm really hoping he understands our players. I'm really hoping he understands our scheme. I'm hoping he doesn't get predictable or freak out and start spamming screenplays. We're just going to have to get our running game going early and often, and I really hope he understands that is the most important part of our team, and I really hope he works with the offensive linemen to get that going, because there's going to be some new offensive linemen going in, and they're going to have to get comfortable real fast. I don't know, guys. Do I like the pick? Not really. I think there were probably better candidates, but if they picked him, he must have really stood out in the interview, and you got to trust Brad, got to trust Dan, so I will trust, and I will see what happens with him. Either way, welcome to the staff, Petzing. Glad to have you. Welcome to the Detroit Lions. You guys can let me know what you think about this hire down in the comments below. That'll take us to our second topic today. Just going over some mock draft picks. I thought this one was really interesting. So the top 5 picks in this one, I'm only going over the top 5. We'll go over the rest of them, but I think this new recent mock draft that has been out across the media outlets, sports media outlets, really predicts teams' moves throughout the each round, and I think it's worth looking at the Lions and how it has changed from the last time we did this topic. I think rather than chasing these splashy skill position players or forcing the need based reaches, Detroit is going to prioritize on the trenches in this draft. I don't really see it going any other way, along with the depth and long term sustainability of multiple positions on defense. If the board falls favorably, the Lions could come away with a class that quickly extends the competitive window, which is what we need right now. We just need to make sure we have a very successful draft and we don't take these chance guys that we like. Oh, they fit the mold. No, we need some dogs now. In the first round, they have Maui Goa from Miami going to us. Yeah, I feel like this one just becomes more and more of a lock every single day. It's just feeling like the pick that we need to take. In the second round, it's Connor Liu from Auburn. Yeah, we've talked about this guy too. I wasn't sure whether we'd go offense or defense in the second round, but it really does seem like an interior lineman here would be great. He is a fantastic interior lineman, and it gives us so much needed depth at the position because we were dealing with some injuries this year as well. In round 4, they have us taking linebacker and Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech. And what he lacks elite size and length, his instincts, turnover production, and run defense consistency made him one of the best linebackers in college football this year. He profiles as a high floor contributor who can carve out snaps early in his career. Additionally, passing on a less convincing defensive back for a proven playmaker would reflect disciplined drafting rather than reaching for a player at a position of need. So for a day 3 guy, this would be value defined, especially with Anzalone leaving. It would be good to get another instinct guy on the field to really control, maintain outside stuff. I think it'd be cool to get a guy like him. And based on what I've seen, this man plays ball. So I don't know. Turnover production seems awesome. Again, I don't know if we like linebacker this early is a little questionable just because of the depth we have there. But with Anzalone leaving, getting another stud like that for long term, do not hate it. If he's here, I would go ahead and grab him too. And then finally, the 5th pick is quite interesting. The list actually split between 2 players that are both equally important for us right now. A cornerback out of South Carolina in Jalan Kilgore, and Indiana edge rusher Mikhail Kamara. Yeah, Mikhail Kamara. So for Kamara, he measures at 6'1", 262 pounds, brings to the table a solid degree of pass rush value with experience and Big Ten competition. And they just won the freaking championship last night. So while his sack numbers dipped in 2025, his improved pass rush and win rate indicates that he's continuing to grow as a player. His run defense production also adds to his appeal in a scheme that values physicality on early downs. That sounds like Dan Campbell. And he is expected to be a rotation guy for the first year with the expectation to be a starter after he develops. And I think he'd offer the Lions some insurance in case they don't bring back Al-Qadim Muhammad. I really think we will, but if we don't, this would be the guy to replace him, or we just throw him on a rotation with Al-Qadim Muhammad and keep, because he is a rotation guy, have them both go back and forth and kind of get their good snaps in. I think that could work extremely well for us. But on the other hand, Amik Robertson is entering free agency, and there's no word on if he is staying or not. So Detroit could use the extra depth at the secondary. Who would have guessed I was going to say that? Kilgore brings ball production, toughness, and positional versatility to the game. Qualities that should stick out to the Lions right now, considering we're really working for depth in this one. In his 3 seasons with the Gamecocks, he totaled 8 interceptions, including a SEC leading 5 in 2024. He's also a proven run defender, earning an 82.2 Pro Football Focus run defense grade for his efforts this past season. And I expect us to draft some secondary pieces at some point, and this would be a steal if he falls right. If he falls to this pick, I don't know why we don't go grab him. He just seems like the most developed, the most leanable guy right now in this part of the draft, and with a grade at 82.2 from last year, he didn't fall off. I don't think he fell off. I think this would be a crazy value steal at this point in the draft, and I would honestly take him over the pass rusher at that point just because of the versatility. You guys let me know what you think. Which one between these guys would you want to take in the 5th round? Who do you think is more important to us in this current juncture, and who's going to benefit us the most? You guys let me know. And now for our third topic, just some future contracts I want to look at, or potential future contracts. So we're going to focus on the Lions 2026 roster heading into free agency and keep you updated as we find more info, but this is the kind of things we're looking at right now. So Goff is entrenched as a Lions starter. He's got nearly $100 million in guarantees remaining, and he's not going anywhere. In fact, the Lions salary cap situation being tight, they may even elect to restructure or renegotiate his contract this offseason to free up some cap room for other guys, which would surely add even more guarantees to his deal long term. I think that is what's going to end up happening. He's just going to have some more money in the bank in the future, so he can make the team a little more freed up. We can get some more guys on the squad. For the Lions entering the offseason with Gibbs, Montgomery, Vaki, and Robichaux, who spent the entire season on the IR list, under contract, then quickly re-signed Sailors and Small, meaning for the moment, they retain their entire running backs room for 2025. So that being said, this is not completely settled, as rumors you might know have swirled around David Montgomery's future with the Lions being in question. General Manager Brad Holmes has said that the Lions want to bring Montgomery back, but have also noted that it's not fair to him to just sit him for entire games when he knows he could be getting more production. They want to make sure they're doing what's fair for him. For receivers, the Lions' end of season starters are all under contract for the next 3 seasons, but they may have to make some decisions regarding their depth this offseason. All pro punt returner and spot starter Kali Freeman is still producing at a contributor level, but he is turning 32 this offseason, and that is something to take note of. And the Lions appeared to draft his potential replacement in Dominic Leavitt, who we didn't really see a lot from this year. Kennedy, who found the field as a spot starter due to injury and stuck out because he was contributing so well on special teams, is unlikely to receive a RFA tender, but could receive another 1-year deal to return to the team for an 8th season as that return guy, because he definitely proved he's got some magic in that bag. I think that's really cool for our wide receiver situation right now. I think we got a lot of depth there. I think we got some good special teams guys with a lot of high ceiling potential. I think we're good right there. Now, for the tight end position, we were wrecked in 2025 in terms of injuries. We know Laporta with his back injury and Wright with his throat injury finished the season on IR. Zylstra then spent the most of the season on IR. Tight end 4, Kenny Yeboah, spent the entire season on IR before being released with an injury settlement, and the Lions rotated a plethora of veterans looking for answers at that spot. Laporta is expected to play in 2026, with Coach Dan Campbell suggesting a training camp return, while the Pro Bowl tight end suggests that he is targeting OTAs to be, quote, up running around, end quote. Wright was nearing a return at the end of the season, so he's expected to be healthy for OTAs as well. We'll probably retain him as our third guy or our backup. While Horton is still at the developmental stages of his career, Zylstra, Fersker, and Ritchie all gave the Lions consistent snaps at the back half of the season, even though we didn't really have a choice and it wasn't exactly fantastic production. It was very minimal. And if any return, it'll likely be to compete for a role in training camp as a 4th or 3rd guy. New transactions include Zach Horton re-signing, and 2026 expectations for Laporta is good to go. That's what I got on that, guys. Not a ton of numbers-wise contracts, but just what guys are thinking of, where we sit right now, player-wise, depth-wise. I think this is a good way to look at it before we start going into the pruning stages and go look for some other guys in the free agency. You guys can let me know what you think about those, though, and if there's some specific guys you want to see getting contracts. And now just a couple of your comments. Reversion to the Mean 6129 says, he's having a second interview with Miami, by the way. Losing Shep would actually be a good thing. Not only can we get a better DC, but we would most likely get a 3rd-round compensation pick. I didn't really think about that. And I like Shep. I think Shep did a great job for us despite the odds. Now, a new DC better. I don't know. I like having the guy for the second year because I feel like he's more settled. But if there's another DC out there that you guys feel is better fit to do the job and we ended up going and grabbing him, that wouldn't be terrible either, especially if you're saying we possibly get a 3rd-round compensation pick. That would improve our draft class exponentially. So maybe not a bad thing. I didn't even know he was getting a second interview. Thank you for the comment, Reversion to the Mean. And John Lafreniere says, in 2027, if Campbell brings us nothing, it's his time to go. Now, this is especially interesting because Bills just fired their head coach after he had brought them to a bunch of championships, won them some divisional titles, but never could get to the Super Bowl. So that's the question. Is your coach a successful coach if you don't get to the Super Bowl? A lot of people will tell you no. But there's other means of success, right? Getting to championships, building a good squad, being a player coach, showing that you can take a bad team and make them contenders. I think that's what Dan Campbell's done, guys. And I think we can't just honestly forget about the last 3 or 4 years. No, if it goes back to where it was in 2010, whatever, where it was crap show or we're not winning any games, then we start to think about that. But I don't think we're in the position or in the spot right now to be talking about firing Dan Campbell. Just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think on that. Thank you for your comments, guys. With that being said, we're out of time today. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Lions Latest. If you made it to the end of the video, make sure you guys go in the comments right now and let me know what you guys think about the new offensive coordinator hire and whether or not you would have taken someone else. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss a single video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.